Welcome to episode 156 of Outside the Circle, a podcast dedicated to new and upcoming country artists, musicians, and songwriters. Today's guest will be Robin Young. We'll get to her in a little bit, but first, I'm Ronnie, and here's Brian.
What's happening, y'all? We are post Thanksgiving, so hope everyone had a great Turkey Day, one of my favorite holidays. And yeah, man, we successfully did everything uh, not using the oven at all. So it was a good time.
Yeah, no, it's yeah. First and foremost, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Hope everybody ate well, enjoyed family time, enjoyed friend time, um, got good deals if you did some shopping afterwards. Yeah, it was. I personally did not do any cooking, so it's always a win in my book. But um, uh, I had quite the adventure of a Thanksgiving, though. Um, my mom's up from Florida, so we went to my grandma's house for the day. It was myself, Amaris, my mom, my grandma, and my two uncles, and one of my mom's friends. Dinner went fine, no issues there. Ate good, put ourselves into some food comas. Dessert went fine. Everything was wonderful there. And we started playing a few games around the table, and you know good amount of time in, all of a sudden the way we're sitting in the table, I was sitting like to the side of my grandma, and she was sitting at the head of the table, so looking at the table, and I was sitting next to her, and my mom was trying to hand her something, and she was just blankly staring at her, and this whole time I'm watching her slowly like fall to her left, and I don't know what like triggered in my brain, but I like stuck my hands up and caught her from falling. We ended up calling the ambulance. She spent 2 days in the ER. It was, we she couldn't go a whole day without making it about her. Um, I could say that because everything's good. Everything test came back, whatever. But she they think she might have had like a mini stroke based on the EKG, but she's got some health thing that she's having surgery on in 2 weeks anyway. One of the big side effects is it can cause strokes. I'm genuinely surprised they didn't just have the surgery while she was there. But yeah, I mean everything came back fine. She's good and fine, but it made for a very interesting and very quick cleanup to make sure we get over to the hospital.
Yeah. Oh my Lord. Yeah, that's better than coffee after dinner for sure.
Sure woke us up. Yeah, that's for sure.
Oh man, well, yeah, I'm glad that she's okay and I don't know, it's just probably her telling you guys to get out of the house.
Yeah, seriously. She was either done and wanted to go to bed and gotta, well, I don't know how much sleep you get in the ER room, but or in the ER, but um yeah, I mean, we joke about it, but she she made it about herself.
No, no, man, we didn't have any of that type of excitement. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, other than that, it was a good weekend, and we about 4 weeks away from baby, so now we're just counting down the days here.
Yeah, no, you're on the home straight, and no, I'm excited. You guys should be very excited and nervous, and all the feelings, and it'll be a great time.
Yeah.
Uh,
She keeps asking me if I want to take a parenting class or if I'm nervous at all. Why? You just keep the thing alive. Feed it, put it to bed, and just make sure it doesn't choke, right? The kids are easy. I don't know what's
yeah. Yeah, do you know what? I don't know. I don't. It's completely compartmentalized, and I'm going on number three, so I still don't know.
yeah. Yeah. Um, but yeah. So a few weeks ago, I chatted with Robin Young here. You were not part of that one. So we missed you on that, especially being she's a Philly native now living in the Boston area. So, I think we talked a little sports, if I'm not mistaken. I took my jabs while you weren't around. So, uh, yeah. But yeah, it was a good time. Good chat with Robin. We talked for a long time, and it was Yeah, going into the holiday was a good conversation to have.
Nice. Yeah, let's get to it.
All right, everyone. We're here today with singer-songwriter Robin Young. Welcome to Outside the Circle, Robin. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me. Super excited.
Yeah, it's been a busy few weeks for you leading up to the release of your debut album. So we'll definitely jump into all that. But we always like to first time on, we always like to get to know you a little bit and kind of dive into your backstory a little. So first and foremost, tell us a little bit about where you grew up and how important music was in your household. I believe you're grew up local to us, so we're
I
gonna
did.
dive into that a little bit. So yeah, tell us a little bit about all that.
Yeah, so I grew up in the Philly area. I was a nerdy little creative kid. I loved writing. I loved music, playing in the woods behind my house. My dad was a piano tuner and jazz musician, and my mom was a singer. And so music was definitely always in our household. We had a piano and an old classical guitar that I was just messing around with for as long as I can remember, before I even knew that there were concepts to learn about music behind them. So yeah, really musical childhood, living in the Philly area. We went to the Jersey Shore every summer, so very familiar with Jersey as well.
Yes. So having a piano around, were you taking lessons early? Were you just like messing around? Like how involved, especially with your dad being doing what he's doing? How involved did you get early on in that side of things?
Yeah, you know what's so funny is I didn't take lessons until I was much older. And my dad had kind of had a rule that he would not teach us anything because I think he knew what a frustrating experience that could be. And he didn't want to like unleash that side of himself on us. And
Yeah.
so when I say us, I mean me and my little sister. And so yeah, we just kind of messed around. And so I got into songwriting pretty early, not knowing that's what I was doing. I would just kind of be waiting for the bus in the morning or, hanging out with friends and start thinking of things in song form. So that was something that entered very early on. But yeah, the formal education side of it really didn't come into play until later for me.
Yeah. Yeah, we always talk about, kids that are forced into piano that typically doesn't last or they will come away from it and then eventually go back to it. So I
Yep.
guess finding it on your own later is probably very beneficial that it was never like pushed on you and yeah, get that distaste for the instrument, all that.
Yes, yeah, and I was a very contrarian kid too. Like anything that my parents would tell me to do, I wanted to do the opposite. And so I
Mm.
think like that was kind of a blessing that they took that approach.
Yeah, yeah. So, your mom singing, your dad playing, especially jazz. I'm a huge, aside from like the country indie folk world, I'm a huge jazz fan.
Nice.
So I could appreciate that a lot. But was I mean, I guess it's kind of a redundant question because I'm assuming music was pretty like prominent in your house. You sure you had different stuff on all the time. Was there any like aside from like the jazz side of it, was there anything that like really stuck out that like that's what they were, playing or even as you started really developing your taste in music, like what really set you in on that?
Yeah. Yeah, so my dad, funny story actually, he had this trick we would do where he when we were in front of his friends, he would ask me, Robin, like who's this on the radio right now? And he had taught me to always say John Coltrane. So even as a 3-year-old, his friends thought that I could identify all these musicians, and I was like, they were all John Coltrane to me. Um, but yeah, so my dad was a big jazz guy. My mom was more into like R&B and Motown. And I really started getting into music when it was the singer-songwriter era of like the late 90s, early 2000s. Like Michelle Branch was like an absolute revelation for
Yes.
me.
Yeah.
A few years later, like Dashboard Confessional was what I was super
Hmm.
into. Had a major emo phase in there.
Yeah. I'm
So
still not over
yeah.
my emo phase, so
No, as
yeah,
you shouldn't be.
no.
Like there's still so much quality stuff out there. So yeah, I still go back and listening to Screaming Infidelity sometimes for sure. But yeah, so it was really like individuals that were writing their own songs and playing guitar. That's what really got me into it when I was like middle school age.
Yeah. So that's actually kind of a perfect lead up to my next question is that, kind of that moment when you knew like music, like was going to be the thing you were going to focus on, whether it was at a young age like that or even maybe later in life, like coming back to it. When was that like aha moment? Like this is what I need to do.
Yeah. So for me, it was when I was in eighth grade. And for some reason, I don't know why, this was completely contrary to everything about me. I signed up for a talent show. I had kind of like started learning songs on guitar. I would sing when nobody was home. So no one knew I was doing this. And I just went to school one day and signed up on this sign up sheet that was outside the music room and kind of had my debut as a 13 or 14-year old. And it was kind of this big shock for everybody that I had been doing this in secret. And music has kind of always stayed that for me. It's a very like solitary endeavor for me. It's very personal. And I've always done it at the same time as I've done other stuff. Like I think contrary to a lot of people, music isn't the one thing for me. It's one thing of several. Like I was always writing, I was doing art, I loved reading, and I loved music and songwriting. But yeah, so it's really always been something that I love to do, but as my sole endeavor, it's always kind of been alongside other creative pursuits at the same time, interestingly.
Well, again, I mean, that kind of goes back to the piano side of it too, that you weren't burning yourself out, I guess, for lack of it was always something that you did and something that, defined you as an individual and as an artist. But yeah, I mean, I think that's good, right? That who knows if you focused on it early, like if that was the only thing, then who knows what would have happened. So for whatever reason, you were supposed to do it the way you did, and now you're here.
Yeah, well, and jumping ahead in timeline a little bit, I'm sure we'll come back to this at some point, but when I did go to college and studied music, that was kind of a misstep for me because doing one, like taking my passion and turning it into the sole thing I was putting all of my energy into, kind of took the joy out of it for me. And so, like, a healthier approach for me has been doing it alongside other creative pursuits at the same time.
Yeah. And so you mentioned college. So if I'm not mistaken, you went to Berkeley,
Yeah.
which is in Boston, New England. So Brian, who's not here, unfortunately, he's the resident New Englander. So he would have
Ah,
talked all things Boston, and he's from upstate New York, like on the like Lake George area, I think. If I
nice.
got that wrong, he'll kill me, but somewhere up there. So New England is his territory. But so Berkeley, we tend to always talk about Belmont being, the
Hmm.
the country capital, Nashville of schooling, and just right there in the heart of everything. Berkeley's kind of its own little beast and its own little different vibe, and yeah, I mean, I mean, besides how you just said, but like, how was the experience? Kind of really diving into that and you know, like you said, making it what you did for so long, just that.
Yeah, so I ended up at Berkeley over Belmont because it was closer to home. Still not close enough for my parents, but
Yeah.
Boston was as far as they would let me go. And my poor old dad having to drive me 7 hours to college all the time, and he would play with me for auditions and tests and stuff like that. So that was very special. But um, I struggled a little at Berkeley because partially it was what I was just talking about, which is that I had to study music and only music, which is no longer the way that it is there. They've acquired other schools, they've incorporated all these other majors so that now you can double major in anything, I think, which I would have
Okay.
loved.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, my experience there was like, I think every kid there had been a big fish in a small pond where they came from. And then you get somewhere where everyone around you is even more talented than you are. And maybe they even work a lot harder at it than you do. And so that was the case for me. Like I had kind of, thrived off of praise as a kid. And then I got to Berklee and it was suddenly like, okay, you've gotten here. Like that is a major ego boost. Like getting in is a huge honor. And I think I had only thought that far. And so then when I got there, it was like, oh, like I need to be an extremely well-rounded individual. It's not just about your instrument. It's about the entire breadth of the musical canon. And they expect everyone there, no matter what you major in, to be the absolute best at your instrument before you go on to study business or education or songwriting, as I did. And so it's extremely intense. And I found it very intense. And I stayed there for 5 semesters. And then I was like, okay, I've gotten the education that I wanted so badly. And now I think I need to do some other stuff. And so I did. I went on and I studied writing and psychology and sociology and got a couple of degrees in that. And then found my way back to music after that, which I think ultimately was a really much more healthy way for me to go about it.
Yeah. The you mentioned it being intense. Um, for, I mean, I may be off base here, and it very well could have taken place at Berklee. But every time I think of Berklee, I think of that movie Whiplash, that drum movie.
Yeah,
It very well could have been at Berklee. I don't remember off
I
the top
think
of
it
my
was
head, but
Juilliard.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But it might have been Juilliard. But yeah, I imagine any of the whether it's Belmont, Berkeley, even Juilliard, like it's boot camp for music, right? Like that'll really whip you into shape for sure.
It does. It really, yeah. And I think the fact that you can't choose a major until your second year, that the first year is 100% about the instrument that you got in with. Yeah,
That's great.
it's really intense.
Yeah,
And yeah, and I think what doesn't help is I like had a very volatile relationship going on at the same time, which is what this entire album is about. Interestingly, like it's about that time when I was at Berklee, so it's kind of all intertwined for me too. It was just like kind of a difficult time in my life where I learned a lot about myself, but ultimately was like, I think I need to take all the elements of this, but go about it differently.
yeah. Um, so you mentioned songwriting, being, majoring in songwriting and really diving into it. I mean, you said early and then, really getting into it at Berkeley and beyond. Um, kind of take us through that process. What does songwriting look like for you? Drawn inspiration, obviously life events, things like that, but, drawn inspiration, kind of take us through songwriting.
Yeah, yeah, it's a very, as I was saying earlier, it's a pretty solitary pursuit for me. I didn't thrive in co-writing settings at school, I think because I only write about my own life. I've never, I think, if I had chosen to become a songwriter, I very much could have learned to mine inspiration from other sources. But the joy for me is in taking experiences that I've been through and translating those into songs that have the potential to be more universal. I think that's what I'm always seeking to do is connect with other people through writing about my own experiences in a way that I hope finds people with similar experiences to connect to. So I only write in my bedroom, whether that was when I was a kid in Pennsylvania or up here in Massachusetts where I live now. I have to be in my bedroom. The door has to be closed. When I was a kid, I would literally stuff pillows underneath the door so that no sound could escape. Um, Now, my dogs will sit on the bed with me, which is nice. But yeah, like it's very much it's an intimate and vulnerable thing to me. As far as process goes, my best ideas tend to come when I'm doing other things, which I know is something that a lot of people find, whether it's going for a walk or doing yoga or just like going about my day. I'm constantly writing down lyrics in my notes app, and I find that my best lines, they're never the ones I come up with in the moment. They're things I thought of randomly, and then I build songs around them. Um, and yeah, I think that's all that you should know about my songwriting process. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Well, it's the authenticity of it, right? Um, you're not gonna force yourself into a room with other people and knowing that that's not going to be the best product for you. Maybe writing for other people, but for you as an artist and an individual, like the process that works for you is the one that you should do, and obviously it's working. It's
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's very true. Yeah, we did in my songwriting classes we would have group projects like you do in any class, and we'd go off and try to write songs together, and I never felt like I was contributing much because it was a mix of both it feeling so personal to me, but then also like I am someone who is good at taking an idea and like bringing it to execution, but I'm not just like sitting there coming up with a million ideas out of nowhere. Which is like I think there's really two kinds of people in that sense. There's people who are just like coming up with ideas, but they need someone else to take that and execute. And then the opposite. And I'm definitely the opposite of that.
Yeah, I would agree with that for myself as well. So I don't write music. That's all Brian. I'm the bass player. Brian's the guitarist, singer, songwriter, all that. But I have written for my whole life. I've always written poetry. I've published two books of my own, and
Oh, wow.
I've written like screenplays and plays, and I've always liked that creative outlet. But yeah, if I sat down and said, okay, I'm going to write today, nothing.
Nothing
Um,
happening up there.
but
Yeah.
but I could be doing this and go, oh wait, hold on, I got. It's crazy how that works. That when you're least expecting it, the best work tends to come out. And yeah, no,
Yeah, it's funny too because I feel like I'm a writer in a bunch of different senses too, and we always get the advice like sit down and write every day. And I did give myself a challenge at the beginning of this year. I was before things got crazy with the album coming out and everything. I was trying to work on a song a day, and I did it for half the year. And I will say like the act of sitting down and focusing on one pursuit every day was super helpful for me because what that meant is the rest of the day I was coming up with ideas in anticipation of that time every night. So that was really helpful. But in terms of like actually generating a brand new idea every day, like that I felt like was just not the way that I work. Which is fine. Like I wouldn't pass any judgment on anyone who was the same way. I think it's just a different way of thinking about art. But yeah, that advice always being like write for an hour every day, like Stephen King says. I've found it only takes me so far.
yeah. So one of my favorite authors of all time, like even when I was 14 and probably the only 14-year-old boy in the world, but Nicholas Sparks has always been one of my favorite writers from the first thing I read to today.
Oh,
I want to say like late high school, he was doing a like an online like workshop, I guess we could call it. And so I signed up for it, and same thing, like every day write 20,000 words, or maybe that might be a lot, but it was, I don't know, maybe it's not, but like I would
that's
literally
like a
write,
fifth of a novel a day.
right. I'd write, I, like, I
Right.
got nothing. I would just write the same word every, but yeah,
Totally.
yeah, to be able to sit down and do it is a whole nother beast. But challenging yourself to do what you did earlier in the year, it's you're going outside your comfort zone, and that's the important part. And whether nothing came from those sessions, and now going forward, you have this other thing in your brain that's going to help you. Like, I think that's always a good thing to try something new and challenge yourself. And yeah, I mean, can't go wrong with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think this is probably a good time to take our break. We'll put on the song that we're going to play for you. So then we could dive into the album, the song, and really dive into what you've been working on all these years. So why don't you go ahead and introduce the song for us, and then we'll talk about it when we come back.
Yes, so the song we're going to listen to right now is called There's a Part of Me. It's actually the very first song I wrote for this album, and it is about when you're so ready to move on from someone, and there's just this tiny part of you that refuses to let go.
There's a part of me will not learn to live without you. There's a part of me that still wants to call you home, and most of me knows I'm better off alone. There's a part of me that still belongs to you. There's a part of me that shivers at your memory. There's a part of me that still wants to draw you close, and most of me knows make me sing like a song. There's a part of me that still belongs to you. There's a part of me that wants to love somebody new. There's a part of me that's always screaming, oh no, and most of me knows it's long past time to let you go. There's a part of me that still belongs to you. There's a part of me that still believes you're meant for me. There's a part of me that sees you everywhere I go, and most of me knows it isn't right to love a ghost. But there's a part of me that still belongs to you. Part of me will always belong to you.
All right, so let's talk about There's a Part of Me. You gave us a little bit of the about of the song going into it. Kind of take us through the inspiration, the background of ultimately of that being released as a single before the drop of the album as a whole, too.
Yeah, so it might be helpful to give a little background on just this album in general, to put it into context. So, um, this whole album is about a single relationship in my life. So it's what you would call a concept album, I guess. And this song was the very first that I wrote long before this album was even, a twinkle in my eye. And um, I wrote it when I had just gotten out of this on again, off again relationship that had really just haunted me for years. And I wrote it when I was absolutely determined to move on with my life. And I was starting to see somebody new who I would end up marrying for a time in my life. And I could feel that there was just this part of my heart that was absolutely refusing to let go of this person from my past that I had truly believed was my soulmate at the time. And I think I was grappling with this idea that, like, how could you be destined to be with someone and then find that they are no longer in your life, and try to move on with somebody else? Like, are you kind of like, are you messing with fate at that point? Like, what do you do? So that's when I wrote the song. It was really out of frustration and just kind of like, I don't know, just wondering where you go from there.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't normally get too personal myself on here, but what I really love about There's a Part of Me, and really the album as a whole, we've all felt that way, right? Like we've all experienced that to some extent, and moving on seems impossible, and then you get to a point where looking back, you're like, wow, going through that sucked, but wait, I'm in a much better place now, and so as a whole, the album as a whole, I really connect with in that, like that concept, like you said, I mentioned I've published 2 books. My second book of poetry is exactly that. It's start to finish one relationship, and
Mhm.
the whole time it's wrestling with that question, right? Like, but thinking back, and I guess the personal side of it here is thinking back. I, so I was previously married. That didn't go well. The person after that is where this book comes into play, thinking like this was it. But then now I think about it, that the whole purpose of that was to get away from the remnants of what happened before that.
Yes.
And now, fast forward, my speaking of Nicholas Sparks, this should be a Nicholas Sparks book. My actual seventh grade girlfriend, we are together, about to have a baby, have another. So like you sit here tonight and go, wait, but all of those writings were like, you really didn't think it was going to be possible, and then you have that aha moment, like, yeah, there's a part of me that had to go through that because now I'm here. um,
Oh my God, my jaw just dropped. That's amazing. And yeah, it really does make you wonder, like, is there someone who's like planning all of this out in the way that Nicholas Sparks is plotting it out in his books? Like, oh my gosh. Yeah, like first of all, I have to read your book now because I love things that are thinking about that theme. I've just been drawn to them my whole life. But I think, yeah, for me, I'm now with the person I know is my soulmate. But if I had not gone through these other relationships, first of all, the timing wouldn't have made sense. Like,
right.
I would have ended up with somebody else first who could have been closer to right for me, but still not the ultimate person that I should have been with. Um, but yeah, I think my relationship that I'm writing about on this album is from when I was 18. We met the first week of college. I was just screwed from day one.
Yeah.
Like, we just were head over heels for each other, and he ultimately did not have the emotional maturity to be in a relationship at that age. Like, I thought we were ready to, but of course, 18-year-olds are not not the most prepared for anything, let alone an adult relationship. So, yeah, like, I think this whole album is looking back at that relationship, not just from the perspective of someone who's like been through this difficult experience, which is where I was when I wrote There's a Part of Me, but it's really from the perspective of myself now as a 35-year-old woman saying, like, here's how my ideas of love have changed. And here's how I look at that relationship now from the perspective of all that I've been through, all that I know about love that I didn't know then.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the ultimate test of growth. Maybe not test, but that's the ultimate sign of growth, I guess. That, having that maturity at 18, while you may have and he didn't, but that led to what is now today, and being in a much better place. And I mean, at some level, this album came from all of that, right? So,
Yep.
yeah. So speaking of the album as a whole, so there's a part of me, like I said, single off your newly released debut album, which I believe it's been about 2 weeks now since it's been in the world, called Letters to a Ghost. How has the response been to the album so far as a whole?
It's been, I went into this with my expectations on the floor because I'm very aware of how much music comes out every day. And I've been really pleasantly surprised. I have just loved seeing people listen to this. Like I promised myself I wasn't going to look at the metrics right away. I was going to give it a little time to kind of marinate. And Spotify just went past my defenses and was like, I'm going to email you your metrics. Like, sorry if you didn't want to see them. And yeah, there's like several thousand people listening to this album that was just such a personal just this personal process for me to go through. It's just like the most beautiful thing to realize that other people are listening to it and connecting with it. So yeah, it's been really special. And I've been really, really pleasantly surprised.
Good. Well, again, it's that authenticity, right? You're not trying to feed anybody something that isn't, one, true to you, but also it's not all the themes and concepts in the album are not, they're not far-fetched, right? They're stuff that's attainable for everybody's feeling it at some point. And yeah, no, yeah, no, I think, like, going back to what I said before, I think that the album as a whole is so good in you said it's kind of like a concept album. It's so good at keeping you in vested and involved. And yeah, no, I'm a huge fan of the album. It's so good. So
Thank you so much. That
yeah,
truly means the world to me.
yeah. So being a Philly area, you're born and raised there. We're
Yep.
kind of right outside there. Um, we're kind of in between the geographically, with Brooklyn, kind of right in between
Yep.
where we are now. That was the single prior to There's a Part of Me, which we're going to play at the end of the episode. I am a huge fan of using places as themes in things. So yeah, I mean, kind of take us through Brooklyn as a single as well. And if I'm not mistaken, that was the second single that you did put out from the album as a whole. So even going back to Free too, kind of your thought process, I guess, in the release of these singles leading up to the album too, like what that looked like for you.
Yeah. So starting with Free. Free is the last song on the album. And after an album that's pretty, I don't want to say sad, but just kind of like pensive and emotional, I wanted to end on a positive note. And it's a song that's really like a big emotional release, both the way that it makes me feel and the way that I want it to make other people feel. And so we felt like that was single number one. Even though it's the last track, it was the first thing that people should hear from this album to really yeah, get the sound in people's minds that I was going for. And Brooklyn as the second single, I'll just say Brooklyn, I love Brooklyn. I love this song so much. This is my favorite song I've ever written. What my producer and the musicians were able to do with it just like makes me cry every time I hear it because it's just so much better than I even imagined. And Brooklyn is a song about going back to the story I was telling. So I wrote it when I was in my first marriage in my 20s, and I was walking down the street in Brooklyn and in Park Slope specifically, in case anyone's local to there, and it kind of paints a picture. And I thought I saw the first person that I loved who this album's about. And it just kind of it made this shift, this emotional shift inside me where my heart just kind of like leapt. I was so excited to see him, and then realized, like, first of all, that's not him. Second of all, you're married. Third of all, your marriage isn't going great. That's why you're here right now, like by yourself. And it really changed things for me. I went back home and decided to move on from that marriage and start over on my own. And it was really a turning point for me. And so going back to write this song about that moment, I really wanted to get it right. I wanted the sound to sound pensive and emotional, as I was saying, but really transport you between worlds the way that I felt like I was in that moment, where I was in one timeline, married, unhappy in my marriage, but then simultaneously wondering what my life could have been like had I ended up with this other person.
So I guess the the current situation that you were in, seeing or thinking you were seeing this person, usually it's the other way around. You see them and you go, oh wait, I need to get far away from here. So,
Yeah.
so I guess that's a indication of what was going on at the moment. But yeah, no, I love the, from the psychology standpoint, how our mind plays tricks on us all the time. And, I think we kind of said it earlier too, but like, the perfect moments happen to then like push us into a direction that we should be going in. And, whether it was the relationship at the time or eventually getting to write the song. Right. So,
Totally.
it's, yeah, the mind, the spirit, the body, it's such a weird, like how we just end up places. And not to get all like weird and spiritual, but like it's
No, but it
funny.
makes
It's,
you
yeah,
wonder about fate. It really
yeah.
does. And that's something that I'm constantly grappling with. And it may or may not come across in the songs, but I wrote a novel for fun also, and it was very much playing with that concept of like, are we meant to end up with certain people, or is it our responsibility as people who love other people to put a ton of energy into the relationships we're meant to be in? And that is fate. Like, rather than it being the universe deciding, it's you deciding which things to invest your effort in. And yeah, in this case, it was
Yeah.
not the marriage that I was in. It was also not this person I thought I saw. Like, I had to promise my dad that I wouldn't call him when my marriage ended. Like, it was like, we're not going back, we're going forward. But at the same time, that tiny moment of being transported back to my past like that was enough for me to realize that I wasn't in the right place in my life.
Yeah. Yeah. And we need those moments, good or bad. We need those moments to push us forward and get us to where we're supposed to be. And like you said, fate and all that. And yeah, I mean, I find if I've literally lived around the world and I just moved coming back, and like I said, with my seventh grade girlfriend again, we just moved back to our hometown that we started so many years, 25 years ago. So it's a, oh, it's weird how fate and life and, but yeah, kind of on that topic then. So Letters to a Ghost, like I said, it's been out for a couple weeks now. Couple singles so far, some music videos to accompany them. What's I know you're still kind of riding the release here, but what's next? Anything coming on down the line that you already got planned, or you kind of just taking your time here? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely taking my time here and figuring out what comes next for me. I don't know if I'm usual or unusual in this, but music is something that it's my passion, but it's not my full-time job. And I feel really lucky that that's the case because as I've said so many times in this conversation, like for me, that's what's healthy. Um, and so I'm really figuring out, is there another album? Is there, a whole side career that I have doing this, or is this just the fulfillment of a childhood dream for me that I'm so lucky I get to do right now? So yeah, I'm trying to be very in the moment right now, which is not like me. So I'm kind of straining against it, but I love to plan the future. But I will say that I've written a whole other album while I was in the process of working on this release. And so we could see that come out someday. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, so we share a lot of similarities in you mentioned that this album took quite a long time to come together. Um, I think over the course of 6 years is when I wrote my first book, and then my second book I wrote in about 6 months. So
Yes.
so who knows what maybe we're following the same path here, and we'll get some new music soon.
That would be
But
great. Yeah, I've always heard that people say your first book, you spend your lifetime writing.
yeah,
And then every book after that, it's like it's a completely different process. It's not the same at all.
yeah,
Um,
so
and
different.
it's so different. Yeah. And so yeah, it was the same for me where this album is the culmination of so many experiences I've had from the ages of 18 to 34 when I finished writing it. And now, yeah, this second album that I have written, um, it was about a few years in my 20s, and it just came out of me practically all at once. So yeah, completely different experience. It's fascinating.
Yes. Well, the path that you're on is working for you. So don't rush it, but it would be nice to have some new music now. But um, yeah, no, I think it's so, again, going back to not burning yourself out, not taking the unhealthy, whether mental or physical, you're playing by your own rules, and I think that that's important to you're gonna put the best product out there because you're doing it your way. So I like that.
Yeah, no, I think that is a really good way to look at it.
Yeah. So I guess to kind of close up a little bit then, so why don't you let everyone know where they could find you online?
Yes. So I am at Robin Young Music everywhere. I'm pretty active on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, a little bit on Facebook here and there. So yeah, you can find me in any of those places. And then my website is robinyoungmusic.com. So very easy to find me.
Nice, nice. And speaking of full-time jobs, social media is another full-time job. So
It certainly is. I have been shocked at how much thought it takes. And I really admire every other musician out there who's doing this in addition to 9 to 5s. It is, I don't want to say a slog because there's some really positive parts of it too. And I've really enjoyed connecting with people online. There have been conversations I've had in the comments that have really meant a lot to me, and just having this access to social media is so far and above what every previous generation of musicians has had. And I appreciate that I can do it from my house, which is it's just incredible when you think about it that way. But yeah, the amount of work and thought that it goes into, like, it's astonishing.
yeah, yeah. I just probably about a month or two ago, I really started focusing on our TikTok, and I have no idea what's happening. I'm so lost, so confused. So
I
um,
know it's a completely different sense of humor that it's taken me years to even understand the words that people are using, let alone I won't say that I've been able to master displaying that sense of humor at all because I 100% have not. I'm just watching children be absolutely hilarious online and then hoping to like throw my hat into the ring once in a while. Like, here's a song, hope you like it. This is terrifying.
yeah, I definitely feel like I have that old man get off my lawn when I'm
Yeah,
watching some of these younger influencers. And but yeah, um,
100%.
yeah, awesome. Well, Robin, it's been wonderful getting to talk to you, getting to know you, getting to really get the backstories behind Letters to a Ghost. And yeah, like I said, I'm here for it and excited to see what comes next.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for sharing your side of the story too. That was really awesome. So, thank you for this conversation.
All right, so that was our interview with Robin Young, and yeah, I mean, going into it, so we had a nice little conversation there, and um, the one thing that I kind of took away from talking with her, and kind of stuck with me as we've continued to do interviews is, we talk about songwriting a lot, and we always talk about the intimate and vulnerable side of it, but I think it's really cool that she strictly solo writes, especially, given her location to, the rest of the world when it comes to music. But, only writing about her own life, I think that's we have the ability to write about so much, but to really focus in on the things that she knows and has lived and, talk about authenticity, right?
Yeah, and I mean, and her style of country music is really what lends itself so good to, her style of writing too. The very emotional, the very like, connected to feeling that she portrays in a lot of her songs. So, yeah, I mean, another killer interview, and yeah, I'm a big fan. I've always been like a fan of like that Americana, like melancholy country. So, I'm here for it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I highly suggest, we play a couple songs in the interviews here in the episodes, but I highly suggest that debut album, Letters to a Ghost. Everyone needs to go listen to that because we talk about albums as a whole and projects as a whole. And, from start to finish, I hate that I'm going to say it, but it's a banger of an album.
No, yeah, I mean, we do talk about that, but like, yeah, I mean, to yourself, think about that. Like, when was the last time you went front to back on an album and really listened to it? So yeah, I agree, man. Definitely go check it out. And we want to thank Robin Young for coming on Outside the Circle. Make sure you go and follow her on all of her social music or all of her social media and music listening platforms. We'll leave you today with another track from Robin Young, Brooklyn.
I am walking down the streets of Brooklyn. Raindrops they will fall like my sleeping all alone in Brooklyn, wishing you could touch me just one time. Oh, he said just come back to Boston, but at home he doesn't sleep by my side. I could see your life with you in Brooklyn, walking with your hand held tight and high. You're 1,000 miles away, and the years are just too great to buy. And I could dream of a day to see a stranger with my face, and the way it makes me feel. It makes me wanna live a life where I'm with you and I know life, though I know it can't be And between the sheets of rain, I can just make out your face and the way you made me feel, as though the time just fell away in your decision not to stay. But I know that it's not real.
Outside the Circle podcast features music used with full permission from the original artist and or their authorized representatives. All songs are included for promotional and discussion purposes only, with no commercial redistribution or authorized duplication intended. Outside the Circle podcast supports independent artists and complies with all copyright and music listening requirements.